Hi everybody, welcome back to another video. I hope you guys have all been doing good. As you guys can all see, we have some beautiful faces with us here today. I'm going to get them to introduce themselves. Hi, I'm Beatrice.
Hi, I'm Ben.
You already know who I am.
Hey guys, it's Ray.
Awesome. So today we're going to be talking about a very exciting topic, a topic that I think is very relevant, very important, but we don't always discuss. We don't always, really bring up a lot because it often occurs amongst us, but it's very, very hidden. It's something that is in our hearts, kind of thing. So today I wanted us to just, talk about it, discuss it, give our different insights so that we can, shed some light and then hopefully be able to learn and, practice it in our lives. So the topic today is men and pride and women with huge egos. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay? Alrighty. So I'm going to go through questions and then everyone can just jump in whenever. If you have anything you want to say, just go ahead. But one at a time, obviously.
Sweet.
Alrighty. So, what are your experiences with prideful men and women with huge egos? Don't all speak at once. Anyone? Why are you looking at me?
I'm the one with the high ego.
We don't know.
Don't come for us, guys.
It's a bit of a controversial topic. I don't know. I feel like a lot of men have, to be honest, a lot of men have very big egos. Okay?
Ego?
But I don't know. I think you guys hide it really well. You can see that you want to express your self-importance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's not very obvious. I don't know, you guys go about it in a way where you might appear controlling and be like, oh, but I'm the one that's making the decisions, or I'm the one that's doing this. When you're just trying to say, I want to be respected, or I want to be perceived in this way, I want to be perceived as important. But then it shows in more just bigger egos, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, maybe we're just going to define pride. I'm going to define pride, I'm going to define ego as well. Yeah. So that way when we're talking, at least people are kind of clear on what we're talking about. Yeah. So the definition for pride, according to Dr. Google, is a feeling of deep pleasure or satisfaction derived from one's own achievements, the achievements of those with whom one is closely associated, or from qualities of possessions or that are widely admired. So the verb for it is be especially proud of a particular quality or skill. So the pride we're talking about is being very boastful and kind of being obvious. In this definition, it talks about how when you have certain achievements, or if you think you see yourself a certain type of way, so then you're now very proud and very boastful about that particular thing, or basically just yourself in general. And then ego is a person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance. So I know in this definition it talks about how your ego is not a bad thing, but it's when you have a huge ego where your sense of self-importance beats everybody else's, and no one else, you see yourself higher than everyone, no one else's, I guess, importance matters. Okay, so that's now defined. So we'll continue, we'll keep going. So guys, experiences. The question is experiences with prideful men or women with huge egos.
Well, for me, with pride, the only time I've really experienced it a lot is back in Africa, African men in general. African men are, every man to be exact, we all have pride, but to a certain extent. Some men have more and some men have less, and it just comes down to how you use it, And pride, back in Africa, every father or uncle you see, they're so proud. I don't want to point out or release, but every father, when they do something, their chest will be up there to try to show that they have done that. When you sit with fathers, if one say I've done this, one has to come and say something that they have done that is greater than that, and they'll be so proud for it. But with women with ego, like it's the same thing. Every woman have ego, and some of them it becomes they don't bring it up because of self-esteem. They're kind of a bit low, but every woman have it. And one of my friends that told me about his partner, where basically she's to the next level. Everything that is to be done, it has to be about her and what she wants and how she wants things to be done, and everything, nothing to do with him. If he wants to do this, it has to be how she wants it and stuff like that. With a woman with high ego, I've seen a little bit here and there, but I haven't experienced it for myself. But with the men with pride, every man have it, but the most experience is from my fathers, I can say. They show it a lot. So,
so it's actually similar to what you were going to say, Ben. Okay, so I've seen a lot of African men with heaps of pride. So I feel like growing up, the way that they carry themselves, and even just in a conversation, you try to speak to them in a certain way, and they'll be like, no, I know what's better, this is what's correct, listen. And it's like, but is it really? Is it really what's correct?
Like what you have to say doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. And then it gets to a point where it's like, okay, if that's what you think, fine then. And then you just let it go. But then it's like, you know they're wrong, but they're not gonna admit that they're wrong because they're forcing that they're right. So you just let it go, and then it's just they're just walking around there with their pride and like to be honest, low-key embarrassing themselves. But you just let it be, you know. What can you do? What can you do? And then with women, I feel like one example I can give is sometimes when guys come like and ask the girl out, and then they'll be like, ew, like. Do you see me? Do you see me? Do you see?
Been through that.
Do you see who I am? Like how you ask to like
guys,
that, like
self-esteem is dead.
like women with like those kind of high egos where it's like you don't have to be rude. It's not necessary. You don't have to put people down like that. Okay, yes, you might be like all of that or whatever, but
you
not
have
everybody.
standards.
Yeah, you might have standards, but not everybody even sees you like that. So it's not that deep, you know. So yeah, Raymond.
Yeah. I think when we talk about like pride and someone's ego, pride and ego like substances where everyone has them. It's in our nature.
Yeah.
But it's when things is a bit too much, that's when it becomes an issue. Because the definitions as well, like they speak of positive side of being proud of your achievements or yourself. Having an ego is speaking about your self-esteem, how you see yourself. It can be very, very positive. But the negative side of things is always seen a lot more. I guess when we're speaking about culture, we know men tend to be a bit more proud in what they've achieved. I guess maybe because in history we're very competitive. We like to compete with each other. So when you achieve it, even if it's something little or small, you take hold of it. You make sure it's dear to you. The only issue is I see with pride and ego is that when you don't give credit to whom credit is due and you claim it as your own, that's when it becomes a problem. I guess in my life, what I've kind of experienced when it comes to women's ego, I've been around, guys. I've been around, guys, and I think the issue is we're not honest with ourselves a lot of the times. We make ourselves to be what we're actually not, or who we thrive to be. So just be honest. From both. As men, because we're competitive, we never want to show our weaknesses, even if we're weak and we're emotional and we're going home crying. We're not going to show that to each other. We're going to tell each other, we're strong, we're good. But if we're honest, I think a lot of men will be helped with a lot of the issues they have. And if women were honest as well, you would find true love. You know what I mean? 100%. You're not even finding fake love because
you're doing the most.
Because you're putting fake status on yourself.
Yes, okay.
So I want to add
experience. Not to what Raymond said, but before when you was talking about women ego, because to be honest, I always just thought that like men had greater egos than women. And I think of it in the context of like a wife. I feel like in times when like there's been an argument between you and your husband, and like you know that you should probably say sorry or that you're wrong. But like,
wow, this is coming from a woman.
I wouldn't know.
That I will never know. Wow. But what we say is wrong, but I wouldn't know. Yeah,
to be honest, it doesn't really happen often, but when it does, when it does, there are times when we do probably have an ego when we should be like, okay, let me actually just go up to him and say like, I'm sorry for what I did. But like obviously you're gonna be like, why would I do that? I'm gonna look weak. So I'm not gonna go do it. Or like, I don't even think I'm wrong. Like you just make different excuses up when really you should just lower your ego and actually just go and apologize. So I think that's an example that I've probably gone through. Yeah.
So, what do you guys think like our pride and our egos stem from? Where do you guys think it stems from?
I would say culture. I would say where you grow up. As we were talking about, you know, for us men, we have to have some sort of status. You know, we can't be lower than the bar, and that bar is set by other people.
That's true. That's true.
So yeah, it's never within yourself. Like you are happy to be who you are, but I guess society or things around you would never let you be who you are.
And I think one thing that I realized a while ago was, you know, with pride and with ego as well, a lot of the times pride can stem from like low self-esteem, or that like when you think that you're 100% better than everybody else. So why I say low self-esteem is because you think that like you inside you don't feel enough, so then you have to boast yourself up in front of everybody, make yourself look good, so that you know everybody thinks that you're a great person. But then it's like, are you really? So what is your level of self-esteem like? What is it actually really like? You know, in real life. And then when I say it can also stem from, you know, like that really high, you think like you're so great. If we take it into like a spiritual sense of things, let's say for example the devil, he thought he was the greatest person. You know, he needed to be also worshipped, right? And then it's like, he thought that, well, I'm a god too. Like, why are they worshipping me? I also want to be in that position. So then, instead of actually being who you're supposed to be, you're trying to be something else. You're trying to be something different. But that's not what you were actually formed to be in the first place. So it can stem from like, you know, different areas in like your thinking and what you actually like. I guess sometimes when you're trying to just cover up or be something else, something that you're not. It could stem from.
What you're trying to say is pretty much like inferiority and superiority complex.
Yes, in a professional.
So when you have an inferiority complex, you pretty much think that like what you have to give is not enough. Like it's not, like you're not enough, and you lack a lot of worth in yourself. So then sometimes people might cover it up by like being proudful, so that they can cover up what is really inside of them. Instead of actually like recognizing like what they struggle with and then finding out how to fix that, they're covering it up with pride and like with ego. And superiority is like the opposite, where like you find when somebody does something wrong, you find other like, you know, wrong things that they're doing, so that you can also cover up like and then like make yourself look important, like like I'm this and I'm that and I can do this better, so that you can cover up also still, because it's still like a case of inferiority. Like inside of you there's still like repressed like lack, feelings of just worthlessness and things like that, but you're covering it up by looking good on the outside, so that people can think that, you know, you are like you're good, like you're adequate and you're enough. But to be honest, like I actually find an example of that in the Bible as well. It's so funny because it's like it's always the people that are actually worth a lot that are like the leaders that have so much in them that I feel like the enemy tricks them inside. Because the example that we can give in the Bible is Saul. Like literally Samuel came to him and Samuel was like, even though you think little of yourself, you're the leader of the Israelites. Like, in case you didn't know that, you're actually a leader. You have so much inside of you, but you just think so little of yourself that you're willing to do anything just to please people. And I think that sometimes that's what like pride and ego can do. It can lead you to like start people pleasing, but you don't even need to do all that, because like what you already have, if you can recognize the gifts that you have inside of you, you can recognize like who you are as a person and what God has created you to be, you will see that you have so much to give that you don't need to pretend to be anything else. Just be like your authentic self. But
so would you say that like we often, like our pride and our ego come from a place of wanting to please them? You want to please people.
That's an area.
You put on that extra persona to be someone significant and someone seen. When it's like, if you're just yourself and your authentic self, you would still be seen.
Literally.
Because God made us all great no matter what.
It's on both sides, so it's not even only men, it's like women as well. It comes down to your self-esteem, like how important you deem yourself and how worthy you think you are, how much worth you attribute yourself. And it doesn't matter whether it's a male or a female. At the end of the day, like that's literally like the key factor. That I feel like that's where it stems from.
Sometimes it comes from an area of, like Raymond said from the beginning, from someone else.
Yeah.
Like for me, for example, in high school, where my ego started growing was from, I was fast in high school.
Yeah.
Like running races, I'm number one. I'm getting champion boy here and there. But I thought it was I'm fast, that's all cool. But then all my friends are like, any little thing, they'll be like, oh, I want Ben in my team. I want this and that. And then because of that, it built up that ego that, I'm better than everyone else, this and that. And because of that as well, it gave you that standard that one time I lost. Yeah. And then I'm like, it broke me down, but then still I'll push it here and there. And then, like you said, you'll try to push it down. I'll push everyone down. Nah, I'm better than you, this and that. But then, because of that label that they've put on me, I had to stand up with that ego as well. So sometimes it comes from what people kind of give you.
Attribute on you as well, definitely. Because society does it. Society is like, men have to be this, men have to be this, men have to be masculine, men have to be like the protectors, the workers, the strong ones. And then you guys are just like, okay, I have to be all of this. And then when you can't, amount to it, then you're just like, well,
not these days anymore, I guess.
I'll share some experiences because I don't think I answered the first question.
but you did actually.
So on both spectrums, growing up, I had really low self-esteem because I would see what people had around me, and I want to fit in, so I'll pretend to be this person that I'm not. And I'll cover it up with being the loud guy in the room, the so no one will ever see or question what I have or what I can bring to the table. And it was always because of comparison. Compare myself to, in high school, compare myself. I was an African kid. You look at their houses, you're like, damn. And then you're like, you got to fit in somehow, So I start speaking how they speak, start acting how they act, and always try to be the one that stands out because of low self-esteem. And I always think, I ponder on, if I actually was myself, how much more could I have achieved to being me? And on the other side, growing up in church, I never really dealt with this issue of pride. Well, not even church itself, but even anywhere else. But I started to notice it when I felt like if I wasn't contributing, then what we can achieve, isn't going to be at a high standard. That's when I started to realize, hey, wait a minute, it's actually not about you. Get your head out of the horse's head. It's not about you. So those little seeds were being sown, and I think when you allow it to grow in you, that's when you allow pride to grow and it exceeds you and you get a bigger head. People say I have a big head already, but it's filled with nutrients, not pride.
Alright, awesome. So guys, these are beautiful inputs, to be honest. I'm loving it. So the next question is because from us women, right? From our perspective, how do we think pride makes men look? And from you guys, the men, how do you guys think pride makes ego make women look? Whenever we have our huge egos, how do we look? And for the men, so Biz, do you want to start?
Alright, so I think for women, whenever we see a prideful man or a man with a big ego, it's very obvious. You can see it, and it doesn't look very good. It just looks very try hard, and it looks like you are not whole and content in yourself, because it's you're trying to prove something. So when you adjust yourself, at the end of the day, women actually love leaders. Anyways, maybe speaking just from my perspective, women love leaders. I want to see you lead. I actually want to be led, but I want you to do that in a place where it's coming from wholeness. Do it from a healthy place. Don't do it because you're trying to prove something. Don't do it because you're exerting just a different persona. Because at the end of the day, if say for example, like I'll just use husband and wife perspective because like that's probably what I know best. I already know you as a husband, like I already know you as a person. And if you're trying to be something else, I can pick that up very quickly. So if you're just authentically yourself, and say for example, you just lack in an area or you are not very good at something, but you would like to be good at it. You can just say, look, I'm actually struggling here. Like humility sometimes is just so much more appealing. It's so much more like sexier than, oh, let me just pretend like I know what I'm doing.
Go deeper.
Let me pretend like I know what I'm doing, and then you're stuffing it up along the way. Instead of just being like, I actually don't know what I'm doing, can you just help me out? Because that's just like so much more approachable, so much nice, rather than just, okay, yeah, like I'm just going to act like I know what I'm talking about. I'm going to like just lead us in some kind of random direction where you don't even know, like you don't know what you're doing. Just, let's just be honest. But like it doesn't look very good when you're egotistical. It's better to be humble because then we honor that more, like we desire that more because like we really want you to lead. Like I don't know why men have it in their head that, oh, like women are just trying to take over. Like they just don't want to go with God's original design. I was like, no, we actually don't. Like we don't want to lead. Like we actually want you to lead. We want you to. Like, we want to follow direction. We want to follow good direction. We want to follow.
If you're not leading us in the right,
random decisions, random paths.
Where are we going?
Like literally, just be completely yourself. Be completely honest. Tell us when you're struggling in an area because that's when like you're not trying to cover up your self-esteem in the areas where you're lacking, and you're saying, I'm actually lacking in this area. Can you just help me out? Like it's just working together in a way when it comes to like the marriage context. But just don't do it like high egos. Don't do it because people are just going to be turned off.
If it's a leader, he's leading you towards something. But if you say you're not leading me the right way, you know where you want to go, or you know.
No. If it stems from a place where when you just want to do something to show your importance.
But where I'm coming from.
Let's say, for example, though, right? The other day, right, you were like, there was a situation where I needed to be somewhere in two places at once, and I was going to take my stuff. I prepared my stuff. Somebody said, nah, don't need to bring your stuff. We're going to have time. It's all right. And then I followed that because I was trying to be. I was trying to be submissive, right? Tell me why later when we got to the place, we didn't have enough time and I already didn't have my stuff, so I had to come all the way home and I was almost late to where I was trying to get to. So that's what we're talking about. Sometimes we don't really want to submit because you know it's going the wrong way.
But what I'm saying
that's
is
what I was
like,
trying to say.
what I'm saying is exactly similar thing. Is sometimes it's good to do it that way because then the man learns as well in an area of, oh, maybe I was wrong in that area, and then next time they learn. But if you're a woman that he tells you something and you're like, oh, I know it's going to be wrong, so I'm going to do 50-50 or 20% because I know, and you already have a backup there, then that's not you letting him do
But that's the high ego on the woman side.
I know, but that's what I'm saying from your side.
We're giving our perspective.
I was just saying something about
so can you just listen? I'm just saying. So now it's my turn. Now it's my turn from
the bumpkin.
Sorry. So from the women's so let me say example as well, for example for me as well. Remember how we talked about before, like African men and how like the way that they sometimes approach situations, like we'll give, let's say for example, we say, oh, we think you should do it like this because of this, but then they already have in their mind how things should run and how it should be, and then they're gonna force it. No, this is what's correct and this is what needs to happen, and then you get to a point where you're like, okay. If that's what you want, you're not gonna like have any leeway. You're not gonna allow us to even give you any input. Fine, let's just do it your way. And then when it fails, who else is there to run to? Or who is there to blame? No one. Because it's like you never even considered listening to the input that might be there. Like, let's say for example, sometimes as women, we're the ones that talk a lot. We talk a lot. We say a lot of things. And then if we're saying, don't do this, don't do this, don't do it, and you're like, no, it's fine, don't worry, it's all right. And then it doesn't go like how, because God has given us intuition, okay? We have wisdom. We have understanding, we see things. So sometimes when we say listen, just listen, because it's for a reason. Because sometimes when you don't listen, then we're like, okay, we'll just wait for it to happen, then we'll talk about it later and we'll come and discuss. You know what I mean? So sometimes for men, like from our perspective, it kind of looks like it's like, when we try to like help you as your helpers, you guys just have to listen because it makes you guys look like a fool. Your pride. It makes you guys look like a fool, and it's like you really like you end up being the one that like you lack because you just didn't humble yourself basically. So yeah, if you guys get what I'm trying to say, you know. But yeah, from the female's perspective,
I think I just touched base on what you guys said. I think pride is not exposed in the sense of we don't listen to what you're saying. But pride is once that thing happens and we failed, do we acknowledge our failure? Or do we say, nah, who cares? Nah, it's right. That's when you know someone's too proud. So I think for men sometimes, because we're very mechanical, we think A, B, C, and D, and that we're trained in a way where we want to fix things the way we fix things mechanically. We don't think about holistically. Give us an instruction, we get a drill, we put things together. Sometimes we may not even think we need the instructions because we've done this before. We've been in a relationship before. We've never raised a kid before. That's why we give it to you guys. But I think being proud is if we don't acknowledge that we failed. That's when you have to question.
That's true.
In
opposition.
It starts from the area of, like you said, if before you even, like, you're our helper, as men, when we're doing something, you have to acknowledge that, I need help in this area. Then you go and help you go and ask the helper, can you help me here? Even if you're doing wrong, if you're doing something wrong and your helper comes to help you, it's not anything wrong. Sometimes you just have to be like, yep, okay, I need help. But sometimes our pride kicks in. Like, no, I don't need help. Or we'll be doing something and we need help, but we won't go and ask you. But if it's another man, we'll be happy to have a guest from you.
Why? Because you don't want to look weak in front of
that may be one. But then the thing is, sometimes, like Raymond said, with the A, B, C mentality we have, a woman will bring a different picture that we're not used to. We're like, we don't want to see that picture. But with a man, they'll completely know the same thing that we. So I think that's where the pride, it kind of kicks in when we don't acknowledge that we do need help, or when the help comes, we don't give that space of, let me listen. But
okay, and then from you guys, so how does it make us women look when we have like huge egos?
If we're bouncing off that term sexier, I think, speaking for myself, obviously, but I think we're getting into a generation where men appreciate the simplicity of a woman. Because of media, of course, everyone's trying to be what they're not. So when you overdo it, then it pushes us away because we don't know how to treat you if you are confused within yourself. Who are you? We can't give you that identity. You know what I mean? So with a women's ego, in terms of their self-esteem and all that, usually we're dealing with someone that has lower self-esteem majority of the time.
That's true though.
So then you're there for them. But when you find that 1% that thinks they all that, for us, we may like challenges, but once we see a woman a certain way, like it doesn't matter what you do, we just don't really, we disregard you in terms of how we treat you. So if you're coming up, to us with a high ego, you're all that. We'll put you in your place. What makes you all that? If it's the makeup, that's an extension of who you are. That's an addition.
Let's not take it too far.
Is that from our perspective? Can we speak?
Yeah, we want to
We're not going to the wing. We won't go to the wing. We won't go to the baruga. Speak, man.
Serious.
Like all of that stuff is not bad though. Like makeup, with looking good is not bad. Just add it because you know who you are, and this makes you pretty and stuff. The other thing is as well. I'm just gonna throw this in there. You don't do things just to put on the gram or put it on socials. Don't look a certain way, take photos just to put on the gram. But do it for your fandom, and you're doing this because you love yourself as well. So I think pursuing your dreams, you're doing what you gotta do. We love that. We love you chasing, where you want to be. We desire that more, but the other ones, just sort it out. Be for real.
Be yourself.
No, that's 100%. That's
true,
good, man.
though.
That's facts.
Yeah.
Now, I was going to touch on something that Raymond said before I go to mine. Like, you know how he said about all the makeup and all this stuff? There's some of you ladies wear that and you do all of that, and then you think you're better than someone else.
Yeah.
But if you take all of that off, are you actually better than that person that you're saying you're better than? So sometimes you got to think of yourself as completely naked and then compare yourself to who you're speaking to. You know, I'm not talking to a man and a woman. I'm talking to a woman to a woman.
Yeah, but really, don't even worry about the outside. Look at the inside.
Yeah, but I'm saying
at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you do to the outside. If the inside's too ugly.
Like he said, the self-esteem is so low that they try to cover it up with everything else.
Yeah, that's true for women.
I'm saying when you speak to another woman, you know, not to a man. But for my one, is this new thing going around. I'm a boss. What that word is?
I'm a boss lady.
Boss B. Beatrice. But yeah, that word going around. I don't need a man. I don't need this. I don't need that. Independent woman. All of that. To be honest, like he was saying before, every man loves a woman that knows what they're doing with their life, but we're not there to compete with you. Like you guys said at the beginning, we're the leader of the house, we're the man of the house. A woman needs a man the same way a man needs a woman. There's not a complete man that will be complete without a woman. You know, and there's not a woman that will be complete without a man. You can have everything that you want. That's why most of them, when they're in their 30s, 40s, 50s, they start looking around now, whatever is left, they will take that one. I'm not kidding. Like, most of those ladies that are like that, they either go for sugar daddies or rich men that have nothing, or the ones that are left, you know? And it's the fact, that's what they end up with, because they were so focused on that, I'm this, I don't need that, I don't need that. So every man that comes,
So
it's like,
do you think that, like, sometimes as well, when as women, let's say like in a marriage context, when we like put on that huge ego, or like I can look after myself, I work, I can do all of this and this, like I don't really need you to this and this and that. Do you guys also sometimes feel like pushed down?
I wouldn't say I feel like I'm not enough. I'll feel like my role in the household, I'm still going to be myself. Whatever else you're doing extra, obviously I don't feel attracted to that. I'll be like, this is not really a woman to my eyes. It's just like a roommate. We're competing with each other. You're trying to be me. I'm not going to try to be you. I'm just going to be myself. If you think you can do all of that, because it comes down to if a man know who they are and what they're meant to be like, I'm not going to become more muscular to try to push you down. I'll just be myself. When you realize, you will calm down. For us, definitely, we don't feel appreciated. We don't feel like you know our role in the household. We don't feel all those stuff. We will basically, if you're a man, you'll continue doing your role as the man. Even, for example, sometimes your woman will make three figures and you will make one or whatever it is a week. And then if you're a real man, regardless how much you make, you'll still be the man of the house. You'll still continue to do what you need to do. Even if the woman keep pushing everything else on your face, you'll continue to do that. But if you don't know who you are, then your ego and everything else, you'll start covering that up, and then you start doing other things that will make it even worse.
Ended off with what's like one verse that sticks out to you on like pride and ego, just in general, that you guys kind of live by in your daily lives. And then we end it with that.
Alright, I'll say mine. I prepared it earlier. 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 6. So humble yourselves under the mighty power of God, and at the right time He will lift you up in honor. And I think, like, obviously we know the importance of like humility. And I heard someone say that like humility is not thinking less of yourself, but it's thinking of yourself less. If that makes sense. So it's like, so it's like not increasing your worth to the point where you think that you're better than everyone else, but also not like reducing it to the point where you're just like, oh, like I'm nothing. So in a way, like balance, like self-esteem that is balanced, where like Ben was saying, you know your identity, you know who you are, so that you don't feel like you have to like, you know, pretend or like just do too much so that everyone can see you as someone that you're not. But also not just going so low that you're like, oh, I'm worthless and I'm nothing. You're in between, like you're in the middle, and you value yourself, you have a good identity, you acknowledge your weaknesses. Like you can see that, okay, you know what, in these areas I'm actually not that good and I'm willing to get help, I'm willing to get like assistance with those areas, but also I'm really good in these areas as well. So then you have like a balanced self-esteem. So humbling yourself, knowing that you're not all that up there, but you're also not like worthless as well. And I feel like when we do that, when we like walk in humility and we realize that we don't know everything, but we're more than willing to learn as well, then God's going to be able to honor us. Like it doesn't matter what context or what environment we're in.
Yeah, awesome. Anyone else have this?
Philippians 2:8 for me. Speaking about Christ, it says, "In being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on the cross." The previous verses speaks of him, being made in the image and likeness of God, or him being God. He humbled himself. He came down to our position, and I see pride as this. We know rich people versus poor people. A rich person knowing that they're rich, they'll wear the simplest things. A poor person that has like $20 left in their account, they're out here buying fake LVs, trying to look good. And this is what pride does. It sets you up to destruction, as the Bible says in Proverbs. Pride leads you towards destruction, where you create your own path. You may feel good now in the present moment. 5-6 years later, you'll see that the decisions you made has consequences. Literally. So I think humility it positions you in a place where you know yourself, you know who you are, you know how much you are worth, you know your net value. So you don't have to really show people how much you're worth. It doesn't matter who knows.
That's awesome. Actually, and to like similar to your verse, Proverbs chapter 11 verse 2 says, when pride comes, then comes disgrace, but with humility comes wisdom. Sorry. And then the other one is, Proverbs chapter 26:12. Do you see a person wise in their own eyes? There is more hope for a fool than for them. So really, like understanding that pride is not our best friend. Pride is what will lead us to disgrace, and it's what will lead us to foolishness, and it's what will lead us to, where we'll get lost, and we won't even know who we are. So just being humble, learning to be humble, even if you're not, learning so that we see things through. I mean, we live life through the lens of God and what He desires for us. And also, it says that the humble are exalted. So really, like if you remember that when you're humble, that's actually when you will be exalted. So then
it's a win-win situation.
Really,
really. You look like you're low, but then you're actually not, because and people honor that.
Just really remembering that pride, it doesn't actually help us. It doesn't really help us at all. Even though we think that it's going to make us look great, or we're going to be more important, it doesn't. It doesn't do anything for us. But really, humility is what actually brings out more of the greatness in us.
I think in a way, I was going to...
Same verse.
Same verse as I read the first, Proverbs 11 verse 2, where obviously pride, like when it talks about pride, when I look at it, when you actually talk about the word pride, like we said before, it has positive meaning, but when you talk about someone having pride, you're obviously referring to the negative side of things, because you won't say, "Oh, Raymond has pride," and then you're talking about a positive one. So every time you hear the word pride, they're talking about the negative side. Where when you have something, like if I know how to run, if I know how to do this and that, if I'm just chilling there doing it, we see like what's the name? There's Messi versus Ronaldo is a perfect example. They're both the best player in the world right now. But Messi is so humble that no one really go there and boasting about it. But Ronaldo, everywhere you see, he'll be boasting, showing off, and doing all these things. That's the difference, because that's the best thing you'll talk about. He's more powerful than the other. Because Messi is so humble, it doesn't mean he's not the best player. Right now, he's the best player in the world with so many Ballon d'Or. He's been exalted because he doesn't go out there showing all of that.
Pride always leads to downfall as well.
Definitely.
Somehow, somewhere in the future,
like we were saying, when you have something that you're trying to cover up, covering it later on, when it comes out, it disgraces you because
it destroys.
it destroys you because you were so prideful of it. Now everyone knows that it was fake or it wasn't real and all this stuff.
It's actually embarrassing. It's too embarrassing. So guys, don't do it. Let's just be humble and let's just honestly, it's been such a beautiful topic. Any other comments before we finish up?
Sit down.
Be humble.
Another boss.
But now it's been such an awesome topic. I've learned so much, and you guys have given us beautiful input. So thank you all so much for coming. Really appreciate your presence. And if you guys don't know, again, this is Beatrice, Raymond, and then you already know me and Ben. Always here.
Raymonds Plugged, aka Dispensation Band.
Description.
Put it below, guys.
Click over here.
If you guys need a band to perform at your wedding,
or anything else.
what other events do you do, Raymond?
Everything.
Dispensation Band. Contact Raymond. So but guys, thank you so much. We hope you guys enjoyed the video. We hope you learned something new, and we hope you're gonna take some of it and put it into your life. Start using it. Okay. But thank you so much for watching. And like as we always say, subscribe to the channel if you learned something, if you gained something new, and share as well with someone that you think might need it. And then